We're going to start reading at verse number 24. Daniel 3:24 reads like this. But suddenly Nebuchadnezzar jumped up in amazement and exclaimed to his advisors, "Didn't we tie up 3 men and throw them into the furnace?" "Yes, your majesty, we certainly did," they replied. "Look," Nebuchadnezzar shouted, "I see 4 men unbound walking around in the fire unharmed, and the 4th looks like a god." Then Nebuchadnezzar came as close as he could to the door of the flaming furnace and shouted, I want you to put your names right here, "Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, servants of the Most High God, come out, come here." I want to use for a subject this morning, because I survived. Because I survived. Here's a strong, powerful reality that I can get an amen from everybody. And that is that there are seasons in our lives that are not favorable, to say the least. Every one of our lives has been periods of highs and lows, ups and downs, and times when things happen that we didn't think would happen. We wasn't expecting them to happen. They just happened, and they happened because life happens. And it's during those seasons and during those times of challenge or unfavorableness that we put a label on things. We label those seasons as difficult. We label those seasons as traumatic. We label those seasons as challenging. And we tend to stay there in those seasons longer than I believe God ever intends for us to stay. I believe that there are times when we go through things that life just be lifing, and we won't let life pass. Everybody goes through something. Our experiences, our circumstances may be different. I can't tell you not to hurt. I can't tell you not to cry. I can't tell you not to feel. I can't tell you not to grieve. All I can do is say, let life happen. We get so caught up and we feel like that just because we are going through stuff that we have to stay in stuff. But here's my belief. I believe that every now and again that we should take the words of our elders and say, my soul look back and wonder how I made it over. Anybody ever come through anything that you didn't think you were going to get out of, and you look back and say, my soul looks back and wonder, how in the world did I get through that? It is my own personal opinion that we don't give ourselves enough credit for coming through stuff. We don't give ourselves enough credit for surviving some of the most difficult things that any human can survive. I know this because most of the time when we talk about our past, we talk about the things that we've been through rather than the things we've come out of. I'm going to let that soak in for a second. Because see, I am of the mindset that just because you are out physically don't mean that you're out emotionally and mentally. Yeah, and that's the problem for so many of us. We take that baggage with us from our past into our present and into our future. So a lot of us have been bound to traumatic situations mentally and emotionally, and we can't let go. Just because we're out physically, we choose to hold on to things emotionally and mentally. But here I need to let you know today that when you talk about anything that you've ever experienced that wasn't favorable to you, I need you to take on the mindset of being a survivor. I need you to understand that when you tell your story, there's a difference between telling it about what you've been through and about what you come out of. Let's talk for a moment. So I need you to look at folks' body language. Look at folks' words that they choose. When they talk about what they been through. Child, you don't know what I had to deal with. Child, I was in an abusive relationship. You don't know what it took to get through that. I was so sick, I didn't think I was gonna make it, but you did. So you hear the language and you see the body language. Watch the eye contact. Better yet, here's a better test. Watch your body language and watch your eyes. Watch what comes out of your mouth when you start talking about what you've been through. There is a shift when you talk about what you come out of. You talk as a survivor and not as a victim. Yeah, I'm not belittling anything that any of us have gone through. There are our own personal experiences. We've all dealt with things. We've all been through some traumatic stuff. We've dealt with losses. We've dealt with folk lying on us. We've dealt with folk walking out on us. We've all had some experiences. But I need to talk to folk that are survivors today. I need to talk to folk who says, I've been through a whole lot of stuff, but I'm still here. I've been through a whole lot of things that could have taken a whole lot of folk out, but I'm still here. And when I tell my story, I don't need your pity, I need your praise, because I understand that if it had not been for God on my side, I wouldn't be here today. How many of you got a story that you could tell that would make other folks' toenails curl? How many of you understand that if you really told folk what you've been through, that it would make them feel real sorry for you? I don't want to talk about what you've been through. I need to talk about what you come out of, because the fact that you are here right now, that means that God had his hand on you. It's going to hit some of you later on, and it's okay. But most of us would rather talk about what we've been through, because that gets us attention and pity. Think about it for a moment. Give me one of your sad stories. Give me the saddest story you can come up with that you've had to encounter or endure. Oh, baby, are you serious? Oh, I'm so sorry you had to go through that. Oh, man, I don't know nobody that's ever been through that before. Oh, I'm so sorry that happened to you. For real? Are you serious? Yeah, I'm serious. What can I do to help you? Well, how long has it been since that happened? It's been about 15 years. Am I the only one that's heard stories like that? You see what I'm saying? The mindset of a survivor says, let me tell you what God brought me out of. Let me tell you, I remember when I was broke and couldn't make two nickels look at each other, but God put food on my table. Let me tell you, when I was so sick, the doctors walked away and said there's nothing else they can do. But I got up off of my deathbed, and here I am with healing running through my body. I wish I had some. You see the difference? Do you see the difference? Now, here's how our society is set up with dysfunction. When we hear stories like that, our response, most of the time, oh, she thinks she all that. You don't get credit for being a survivor, but you can get pity for talking about what you've been through. I don't need your pity. If you can't celebrate yourself, you don't need to be celebrated. Because the fact of the matter is, don't nobody know how many nights you had to cry yourself to sleep. Don't nobody know how many times you had to put your hand on your own shoulder. Yeah, I ain't got but about 5 survivors in here. But here is what happens. When you focus on what you've been through, you commit yourself to a cycle of telling the same story over and over. I'm going to ask you a question, and you're gonna answer it. I ain't gonna tell you how you're gonna answer it, but you'll answer it. How many of you have been through some stuff? Difficult situations. Raise your hand. Wait a minute. Wait. I gotta put my glasses on. Okay, I'm gonna ask you again. How many of you have been through some difficult situations that you really didn't think you were gonna get out of, especially in your right mind? Raise your hand. How many of you have walked alongside of folk who have been through stuff and you had to bear the burden with them and you didn't think you? Raise your hand. Will y'all look around and see all the hands up? We've all been through some stuff. Can you encourage your neighbor and say, you're not the only one? If you ain't the only one that's been through something, and we've all raised our hands to affirm the fact that we've had some difficult situations, why then do I need you to pity me when you yourself need to be pitied? If we've all been through some stuff, and the fact that we are all sitting here clothed and in our right mind, why can't we celebrate each other's victory? Will you celebrate your neighbor's victory of survival this morning? The person sitting next to you, celebrate them and let them know you survived. Thank you for surviving. Thank you for surviving. Thank you for being. You see, y'all just disappointed me. Y'all really just disappointed me. I asked you to celebrate your neighbor's victory over trauma, over sickness, over abandonment. Wait. No. Wait. Over all this stuff. And I get, How many people survived cancer in here? How many of you have survived a bad accident that you should have been taken out with? How many of y'all have been abandoned by folk that you didn't think ever abandoned you, and your heart was so shattered that you didn't think it was going? How many of you are right here who know you should have been banging your head against a rubber wall right now, but you got sense enough to know what 2 + 2 still is? Now, I'm going to ask you again, will you celebrate the survivor that's sitting next to you? Tell them thank you for surviving. Thank you for making it. Because if you made it, I know I can make it. Thank you. We may not have gone through the same thing. What you went through, I might be going to go through it this year. Thank you for being my example. You see, we don't celebrate what we've come through. We don't celebrate what we didn't come out of. But we just want to talk about what we've been through. Do you know how much strength it took for you to be here? I can think of some times in my life when I didn't even think I had a brain left. I can think of some times when my heart was so shattered that I didn't think I'd ever be able to pull it back together again. But because I am here, y'all sit down. This message is not going the way that I thought it was going to go in my head. But I need you to understand the force that you are. There's a power in you that's been put inside of you that gives you the wherewithal to handle anything. It's the God power. It's been put in each one of us for you to be able to handle anything. And every time you handle something and come out of it, you give God glory. That's all it takes. That's all you got to do. You know, we think giving God glory means that we got to do this and we got to have an organ and we got to be jumping and shouting. No, every time you come out of something, God gets the glory. Because he knows what's been put in you, and when he puts it in you, his expectation is for you to use it. And every time you don't allow folk to cause you to unravel, every time you get through something that you didn't think you were going to make it out of, God sits back and pokes his chest out and said, I knew you could do it. I knew I got the right one to go through the right thing at the right time. And because of that, because here's my belief. There is never a test without a reward. I'm going to let that sink in for a minute. There is never a test, a challenging situation, a circumstance, a traumatic event in your life. There is never a test without a reward. Romans 8:28. Paul says, regardless of what I go through, regardless of what my experiences are, it all works together for my good. Everything brings good to me. When you focus on what you're going through, you never see the good. But when you focus on what you come out of, good is everywhere. There's always good. So let's Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. You know, there are folk that won't like you, not because you done made it, not because of your car, your house. There are folk that just don't like you because you decided to be true to who you are. There are folk that ain't gonna like you because you decided to be unapologetically you. So, just like the Hebrew boys, when they were brought over into the Babylonian empire, if you will, they were supposed to bow down, but they refused. We don't do that. This is who we are. We don't do that. So here's the thing. You know the story. They put him in a fiery furnace, tried to burn him up, but God was with him. 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 I'm going to say it till you see it. But God was with him. They put him in the fire, but God was with him. So much so that the king said, I know it wasn't but 3 of them. I know we bound up 3 individuals. But why does it look like there's 4? He said, it looks like it's a God. So here's what happens when God is with you. Here's what happens. Nebuchadnezzar said, hey! Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, come here. Come out. You missed it. You missed it. The folk that put you in the fire, God will use. Hey, I need you. Come here. Come here. Can you come here for a minute? I know I hurt you last year, but can you come here for a minute? The very ones that put you in the fire, the ones that called you heartbreak and headache, and they got to come to right where you are. And they're going to call and say, can you come here for a second? I need you. So here's what I need you to do. Because you survived, and I'm finished, I want you to get this. Your whole mindset needs to be different. You are now a part of the survivor's circle. Stay with me. You are a part of an elect group of people that has a different standard than others. you have a different mindset than most. So when people roll up on you, you need to check their credentials. I need a resume, a cover letter, and 3 references before you can step up on me again. I'm a different person. Anybody feel like they're a different person than they were last year? Anybody feel like they got a whole different mindset because you made it through some things that you didn't think you were going to make it through? Anybody said, I ain't going through that ever again? I'm going to keep pushing forward. And if you want to roll with me, I need some credentials. I need for you to show me that I need for you to. I'm trying to teach you how to know your value and know your worth. You don't need pity, you need praise. But praise belongs to God. That's what the Bible says. Our praise belongs to God. Where is God? He's inside, right? So then, if you give yourself praise for making it through, then who ultimately gets the praise if God is in you? God. So here is this is the conclusion of my sermon today that I'm hoping that you get. I need you, number one, to know that you are a survivor. If you don't remember nothing else, know that you're a survivor. Number two, you got everything that you need to make it through anything you encounter. But I don't feel like it. It's there. Everything that you need. You can play so they'll know I'm finished. Everything that you need is there. You have to activate it. So then, if I get a bad doctor's report, instead of being pitiful and remaining in the furnace, I choose to be a survivor and say, though I'm in the fire, I'm coming out. I'm coming out. If I lose my job, I'm coming out better than I went in. That was my mantra when COVID hit. I don't know why. Of course, we didn't know what was going to happen, how it was going to last. But I made a promise to myself. I said, regardless of what happens, I don't know how long it's going to be or whatever, I am coming out better than I went in. And I need you to embrace that. Every one of your situations, I don't care how difficult, I need for you to tell yourself every single day, I'm coming out better than I went in. Why? Because you are a survivor. Everybody stand.